What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Muay Thai Save Me. My name is Edwin Lopez, and I'm here with my business partner, Neil Cha-Cha-Yang. Say it right?
Close.
Okay, close enough. It's been 20 years.
Yes.
So, but anyways, next to us, giggling and nervous and shy with the peace signs, it is Shey Martinez, aka Shey Babe, you said?
Shey Babe.
Okay, Shey Babe? Okay.
Got it right by here.
Okay.
Shey Babe.
Shey Babe. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you nervous?
My hands are sweating.
Yeah?
Yeah, everything's sweating.
Okay. Our last guest was also sweaty.
Okay.
But how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
I'm excited. I've
That's
never
awesome.
done this before,
That's
so I'm
awesome.
like,
Well,
okay.
don't be nervous. You know, it's all cool down. It's just a simple conversation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you know us, we know you, so it's all good. You know. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name's Sheyla. I'm from Oregon. So that's funny. A lot of people don't know that. They think I'm a Cali girl. I'm not. I'm from Oregon, from the country. But yeah, I started training Muay Thai 6 months ago or so. So it's fairly new to me, but I like it.
That's
a
cool.
lot.
And how long ago did you move from?
I moved here, it's going to be like a year and 5 months now, a year and a half.
Okay.
So 2022, I moved here in January 1st, that first week.
Oh, okay. Is Oregon? Do you have friends, family here? Is that why you moved here?
No, I came here to pursue dance and the arts and everything. And back home, it's literally just me, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and then all my other families in California and in Mexico. But I never grew up with them because they're all the way down here, so I don't really feel close. Don't watch this, Grandma. But all my family's up.
She's like, mija, no.
No, she actually called me. I was supposed to go see her, and I'm like, I'm busy. Anyways, don't cut that.
Why California though? Besides family, what appealed to you about California from Oregon?
Yeah, Oregon's really slow. So Oregon's like you go there to raise your family. It's all nature. It's really slow. Your day goes by and it feels like a full 24 hours. And it was nice, but I just wanted something a little quicker. I wanted something that would kind of keep my mind going. I was in a bad place back there, and I was like, you know what? I can stay here and stay in this space that makes me feel like this, or I can branch out. And literally the first time I ever moved away from my parents or anything was just into a different state. I was originally supposed to go to South Korea and move
From
to South
Oregon?
Korea. Yes.
Wow.
So I was gonna go
shit.
dance in South Korea and do all that over there and just learn the language. I'd been studying it for months. I was already speaking it and reading it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I taught myself everything. And then we got here, and right when we were gonna apply, me and my roommate, were gonna apply to go, they closed the border. So then from there we had literally 2 weeks to find a place to live because we were in Airbnb for a month and a half. So I had 2 weeks to find somewhere to live. We found it, and it was a 1-year lease. So then we stayed here for a year, and now I've just been staying here.
Now, how did it go about finding South Korea? Was it Indeed? I don't know, how does that work?
No,
how do you go from
so-
there to California?
Yeah, no, it's cool. So basically you can do internships, you can go train over there. They call it training for dance. You go train over there, you can go do a foreign language study. So you can go teach English there, and then, me all looking over here, cut that. So you can go teach English there, and they'll give you housing, food, stuff like that. And all you have to do is interact as an American with people in Korea, so that then they can learn the language, they can come over here. So I was looking at intern switch stuff like that, and then from there you can obviously dabble in different stuff and train. So that's kind of how I originally stumbled upon it. But yeah, so I ran into him. My roommate became obsessed with Korea. I'd always wanted to go to Japan and travel Asia and all of that. It's so lively over there. Wow. So I wanted to do that, and then I ended up here in LA.
All right, and so it's been a year and 5 months.
Yes.
Are those things still in some way in your bucket list or no?
I think now it's more traveling. I think what originally attracted me was more the environment and the culture. Dance is such a big thing when it comes to living. People dedicate their lives to this, right? So I was ready to do that, but then I realized I was oh shoot, I think it's just the interaction of meeting all these people, seeing how people move their bodies is how they express themselves, how they think, how they see the world, and that fascinates me. Humans are so interesting. So yeah, I think now it's changed in the sense of I don't really want to pursue dance anymore, but I do want to like travel and see the world and like experience like more human interactions and stuff like that. Was that the question?
Wow. Was it aspirations of like K-pop videos for dance?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit came. The reason we chose South Korea was because at that time K-pop was blowing up, so it was easy to get into the like country and out.
Okay.
But because it's so close to Japan, like you could literally in a week take a trip to Japan. It's a fraction of the cost, and you can train like in all these different places, right?
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it was during that like K-pop blow up that we were like, oh shoot, like this is the perfect opportunity.
Okay.
And then they closed the border, and I was like, all right, just kidding. Next time. I know, and let me tell you, I was in there. When I first moved here, I basically lived in Koreatown. They got some good food.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
That is good. Shey, you know, a lot of people don't know, but you actually used to work with us for a little bit, right? Yeah. And then you got offered an awesome opportunity, which is why you left.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But what now you actually, even though you're not working with us anymore, but you came back to train with us.
Yeah.
Why? Like what was so special about our gym that you came back?
I left and I realized like the people there are amazing. Like obviously if you watch the podcast, you get to know Kru and Edwin, and it's just like they're dope. There's Kim and Jen, they're dope. All the coaches are amazing.
Yeah.
So hey Kim, I won't pop this back again. But no, it was just like the environment, the ambience. It was funny. When like they told me like they wanted to interview and everything, I thought about it and I was like, okay, what am I gonna say? What like metaphors can I have? I came up with a good one. But it was like ever since I was younger, growing up in Oregon, like everything's so slow there, right? And I had like all these dreams and aspirations, and you can picture them as like pots, right? And they were bubbling. And as I grew older, I'm the oldest in my family, so I had to like take on a lot of responsibilities. My parents didn't get to have a childhood. They didn't get to be young. So they did their best. I love them, adore them. But I had to like step up and do a lot of stuff. So as the years went by, I kept putting these lids like on these pots and just like snuffing them out. And then I like met you guys and I came to MTK, and it was like, I kept seeing these like badass women like kicking the crap out of these dudes, out of these pads, like sweating, like dudes like exhausted, like shaking, walking out and still being so happy. And I was like, this is cool. Like, this is really cool. And just like seeing how people would walk in like with like the darkest shadows on their face, and they would leave like little beams of light. And I was like, this is dope. And I started feeling like those pots like were bubbling again, like the steam was coming out. And so I was like, it's again the mentality of, do I want to keep myself in that same space that I was in Oregon, or like just get rid of it and be like, all right, let's do this, you know? So that's why I came back, because I just feel like it was something that kind of kept me wanting to keep going, you know? It keeps me awake, keeps me alive. And like, I don't show up as much as I should, but I'm working on it. And two, yeah, I just love it. I don't know how to explain other than that, like, it feels right. So.
Have you ever done any type of martial arts in the past before?
No. So it's funny, me and my dad grew up, my dad was like my best friend growing up. So we grew up like watching UFC, MMA, all that stuff. And in college, I tried to do jiu-jitsu. But I've always like felt like I'm just like a bigger woman. Like I've grown up like doing farm work and all this other crazy stuff. So I've always been like really strong. And all the girls in college were like really small and like dainty. So I was always scared to like hurt them. So I tried jiu-jitsu, didn't really like it though, because I felt like I was holding myself back. But I did always want to pursue something like not aggressive, but something where I could just like hit as hard as I want to, like hit as hard as I can. And so yeah, once I did Muay Thai, I was like, this is cool. Like, I can actually, like, kick this pad, like, punch this as hard as I want to, like, get rid of whatever I got. So, yeah.
How do you, yeah, absolutely. How do you feel? Like, can you dive into a little bit, like, that feeling? Maybe some women are out there, maybe in that same boat. They kind of feel like they're not able to express their full potential physically. Like, how do you feel when, you know, you said people were leaving, like, beams of light of happiness, right? Smiles, and that experience of like kicking a pad as hard as you can, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like what are some words of advice that you could give to some women that might be listening right now, that might be going through that weird stage where they're just kind of lost, they don't really know, you know, do you have any advice for some women?
I think it's, like just embrace it. Embrace the masculinity in you and embrace like if you feel like you're stronger than, I don't know. I think it's like very complicated. Like societal wise, women I think in some way are expected to be very small, dainty, petite, feminine. You don't hit hard. You giggle and you like blush and shit. And I'm like, yeah. Like
You're
we're
like,
not supposed to cuss.
I do all that.
Yeah.
And
I can
I hit
guess.
stuff. Yeah.
But I think it was just that for me definitely was embracing the fact that, okay, I will never be this like 4'2" tiny little woman that, you know, has like the little dainty wrists and all that. Like I'm 5'5", I'm always gonna be bigger and I'm just always gonna be stronger, so I might as well embrace it and be who I am. And I think a big part of me enjoying Muay Thai and like actually going for it and like getting that satisfaction out of kicking that pad is I just fully embraced myself. I was like, all right, I like this. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel good. Then fuck it. If I can kick harder than the dude next to me, well, that sucks, dude. You better practice a little harder because I'm gonna get whooped. See you at sparring on Friday.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you're mentioning that too. You're like, you know, I'm never going to be this small, petite woman. And learn to embrace that, because there's women out there too that maybe are feeling the same way you were. Yeah. But like, I love that. I love you sharing that with people, because you want to share to the women, like, it's okay to hit harder. Maybe you are hitting harder than your male partner. You're like, that's holding pads for you. It is what it is, right? And I like how you're just like, feel empowered by that, right? And that's definitely something that we've created here at MTK. I honestly, confidently know I can say this, but I think we're the only Muay Thai gym that has over 165 plus women like yourself that just train, and they get top-notch training. They get trained like a actual fighter, even though they might never have aspirations of fighting. But you know you're gonna get that great, you know, champion-like technique. You know you're gonna get that awesome workout, but also in an environment that's safe for women, right? Yeah.
And I remember like when I was working there, like we would have like girls and like women come in, and like at times I would get to train with them. They would sign up, right? And I would like hop in, I'd keep an eye on them, would go train, and I would notice like they're just like, and I would tell them like, dude, like hit the pad, like
leave Kim alone, okay? Leave Kim alone, all right?
She's got
all right, stop, okay?
It's a no bullying here.
Leave my Kim alone, okay?
No, but I'm like talking like even like girls like, I don't know if you guys can cut this out, but like Belen, for example. Belen and Alvin are a couple and they train, right? And Alvin goes hard, like every single time. Belen, when she first signed up, I noticed she would be like, like those, like, and now if you look at her, like, I would tell her, like, dude, just hit the pad, like, hit it as hard as you can. Who pissed you off? What made you mad? What's making you angry? What do you hate? Think of that and just hit it as hard as you can. Get it out, it's gone. And then I've, like, been watching her and, like, she's solid now. Like, she throws those kicks, she throws those punches. And that, to me, is, like, also why I came back, is, like, that self-empowerment. No, it's not just for women, it's like men too. Like I've seen men come in, they're like so insecure, so unconfident, and it's like now you look at them and they've grown into these like amazing people that can beat the crap out of you, or like can come in negative mindset and they leave and they're like, all right, I'm good now, I can like keep going on with my day. So I think that's just like a big part of like why I don't even know where this is going, but
that's really good. That's really good. And Shey, to ask you this, so we all go through this, and we hear it from everybody, right? It's been about a year that you've been doing Muay Thai, more or less?
6 months.
6 months?
So I started working, I got hired October 5th.
Okay.
And then I took my first class like 3 weeks after that. So I've been training for about 5 months. 6 months.
Okay. Wow. So it's been a lot of changes that we've seen you in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
How has that changed you, like not so much physically, but mentally and spiritually of how you are? Because we all go through our ups and downs, and life beats us up outside of work and outside our personal life. How's that changed you, Muay Thai, and like training and everything, and the environment and the culture and your friends that you made in the community?
Yeah. It's funny. People like meet me and they're like, you're so positive, you're so bubbly, you're so energetic. And it's like, I am. But I mean, you guys that work with me closely, like even Kru would be like, you need to stop being like a negative Nancy. And it's true, like sometimes when I get myself like in that mindset of being negative, like it's so hard for myself to just get myself out, because it's like, it almost feels like I kind of like hop back into this bubble, like back in Oregon, because I just like experienced so much back there that I'm like, all right, cool, like again, like I can't get out of it, like it's just gonna happen again. And like there's been times where you guys have said like, dude, it's all in your mindset, like if you keep thinking like this, nothing's gonna change. right? And then I've had David tell me too, like, you need to like pull yourself out of that because no one's gonna save you. So I think that's one of the things that's really like kind of woken me up and again like bubbled those pots is like, do I want to be this person or like do I want to make myself better? And by no means am I like close to where I visualize it. Like even like this past week, like I've had a couple incidents where I was just like so down, like in the dumps, but then like I showed up to Muay Thai and I was like, all right, fuck it, like I just got to get it out, like kick this. And like Kru says, like every day is a good day. And that's one thing that he told me that I clung on to that like for my life. And I was like, every day is a good day. Absolutely. And even moments where I'm like, fuck, like should I just move back to Oregon? Like should I just like whatever? Like my dad could use my help, like my mom could use my help. It's that like me reminding myself like every day is a good day. And it doesn't matter where you are, here, South Korea, that's Oregon, right. Japan, like if your mindset is like shit, it's gonna be the same everywhere. So I think that's one of the things that like really like kind of woke me up and I was like, all right, shoot, like I'm, you know, now I just turned 26. So I'm 26. Do I want to keep doing this over and over and over and over again? Or do I want to like change the path? It's like the train railroad is like halfway like between moving and I'm like shifting it. It's also taught me like a lot of discipline. I've realized I had no discipline. I thought I did, but it was by no means like, was I disciplined? It was like, all right, well, you know, I had a hard day, whatever. Or like, that's, whatever. This situation happened to me, I'm just gonna fuck it, you know, whatever. And I'm realized like, you can't whatever life. Like, you don't know how much time you have. You don't know what's gonna be given or taken or like, you could win the lottery next week or you could like lose your house. So fuck it. It's like, you just have to keep yourself like disciplined and keep yourself in that mindset. And I think like you guys have been like two of my biggest inspirations for that. Cause it's like, I watch your guys' podcast. Like I've seen that stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like if these dudes can get themselves like out of this like place, why can't I?
Absolutely.
Like if David can like pull himself out of all the shit he went through and now he's the champ and he pushes himself every single day, why can't I? Like I'm just as capable of like anyone else. So I think that's what's really like shifted in me and like has like kind of woken me up. And I want to be that example for my brother and my sister because I've been like watching them from afar and I'm like, shit, like the mindset I had is what I taught them. So now I'm like, no, like you have to push yourself. You have to keep doing that. And they'll like be like, Shey, like you're so annoying. Like, ooh, you think you're like living this life. And I'm like, no, dude, but like that's what it is. Yeah. Like either you convince yourself that everything's gonna get better so that when things go bad, you can be like, yes, it's gonna keep working. Or you can stay where you are and like keep repeating the cycle. Like you're just adding links to this chain, you know, and the chain's just weighing you down.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, that's what's kind of like changed in me. And like, again, the pots are bubbling.
Wow, that. I just had a proud moment of yours. Like I remember having those conversations back when, you know what I mean, and you would be down and you would really be hard on yourself and everything. And it's like, and you know, you see it from everybody, and I'm sure my mentors have seen it from me in the beginning and everything. And it's like, because they can see further because they've been through it. And it's kind of like the way you say, you know, your brothers and sisters are telling you like, yo, what are you talking about? Yeah. They can't see that yet, you know what I mean? And because you moved up in the last 6, 7, 8 months, just in that small time frame, you can only imagine 2, 3 years where you're gonna be at. And I'm just like looking at you speaking, and I'm like, this is not the same person that I remember that I would talk to. You sometimes like you would beat yourself down and be very negative, and I was just like, ew, you know. But we cared about that. Well, you gotta remember, like no matter how strong somebody is, if you're around a negative person, I don't care who you are, it will suck you dry. Yeah. You know, it's like when they teach classes. It's energy, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter. That's why, like, we were telling David, like, you got to be careful, or, I'm sorry, we were telling Ray, like, you got to be careful around who's in your circle and all that, because you have to protect that energy. Anybody that comes in could tell you anything, and he could be, like, even David could be preparing for a fight, and somebody could be like, oh, I don't like this, or, you know, you'll hear shit, and yeah, you might be strong, but no matter how strong you think you are, that's a negative word will fuck you up, you know what I mean? And I remember having those conversations with you and being like, wow, like, because you're so high spirit for the majority of the time, but we all go through these things that we battle, you know what I mean? And when you're really close and working side by side with people, you see it a little bit more, and I would see it in you, and I just want to say I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Because you've come a long way, and that is exactly who we are as humans, is to pass it on to our friends, our family, and strangers. And talking about strangers, I love how, I think it was yesterday or the day before, how like you guys, I saw a post where you were out with some of the members and all of that, and that's another thing that we love, that community that we build outside of the gym, where like that friendship gets created from there, and you build that bond, but then it becomes more than that. You know what I mean? And whether people leave us or come, that friendship stays with you guys, and it's kind of like a gift that's given that you're like, you met those people there, you met that community there. You know what I mean? And so I just want to say I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I had to really read
and
a lot of books.
I like Shey's analogy with adding a chain link that's just gonna weigh you down even heavier. I love that because it's so true. And one book I actually wanted to recommend to you, Shey, because of what you had shared with us previously. It's by Eric Thomas. Shout out to Ray, who was actually on our podcast as well, but she recommended a book. His name is Eric Thomas. He's known as the hip hop preacher. He has a book out that's called You Owe You. I think it would be really helpful for you to check out that book because some of the things that you're dealing with, just to remind you to share those things with your family as well, your siblings. I think it'd be a great book for you to tap into. Eric Thomas, You Owe You. I promise you, it'll be really nice for you to tap into. Yes.
Here I come.
Yes. Yeah, but I promise you, you'll get some great value from that book.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys were always recommending books for me. Although someone over here was supposed to help me out with some financial books, but I'm still waiting on that list. Hey. Not you, him.
She's like, not after you. Oh, I was like,
Kim was like, what?
Kim, I'm on your side. Yeah, I'm over here like. No, but I think a big thing too that MTK does, and I don't know if you guys have shared this, but I think you guys have, is you guys read a lot of books. And it's funny because growing up, I went through books like this. I would read books every single day. My mom would have to pull them away from me and hide them. And I grew up, and then I stopped reading. And then you guys would always give these recommendations, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll read it. But I think it's now that I'm entering this space, and I've it's literally just been recently in the past 2-3 weeks where I'm you know what, fuck this. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be this person. I want to be better. I want to keep like a Pokemon. I want to keep what is it called, evolutionizing or whatever they do, and just move up. But yeah, I will definitely read that book.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people, if you talk to all the successful people, that's what it takes. Is that it gets to the point where I need change in my life. I don't want this anymore. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the start of how me and Edwin became business partners, because I got to that point in my life. I didn't want what I was doing at that point in my life. I didn't want it anymore, and I wanted extreme change, right? And I'm so proud of you for even saying, getting to that point, because some people never get to that point, Shey. They never get there. They just get down in their dumps, and they just feel like they can never be anybody or be anything, and I'm so proud of you to have that mindset to start, even though it's just a few weeks in, but that's what it takes. It's just that moment of realizing it, that I need change, and now you're starting to take those steps slowly but surely, step by step.
Yeah.
That old saying that even Edwin taught me, inch by inch is a cinch. And then someone added to it, yard by yard is way too hard. Inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard, way too hard. And I love that because I remind myself.
That was really good. That was really good. I like that. And I remember, and going back, because I wanted to feed up before I forget. In my defense, the reason I didn't give you those recommendations is because one, you wouldn't listen. You were very negative. Yeah. And I knew, one, I didn't want to waste my time. And when people are ready. It's kind of like when Neil says, how many people want to fight? You know what I mean? Want to fight, and say, hey. But he's not going to feed into that until he sees certain things. And I would give you certain homeworks and certain things that you would do, and it was just negative. And you just weren't mentally ready for that. You know what I mean? So for me, it would be no, but hearing you and having you on the podcast and continuing to see you grow and stuff like that, there comes a moment where you're okay, this person is ready. Does that make sense? Yeah. It would be more of a waste of your time, and especially my time, just for the simple fact that it's Neil would be hey, you just go fight. You know what I mean? And you're not ready. You know what I mean? You got to get that the mentalness is the most important. Acceptance of being, I want change. Yeah. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's somebody. That's why most people, when they win the lottery, their mentalness is not ready, and that's why they go broke. They did a study, and they say that most people in the first 3 years they go broke, just for the simple facts that doesn't matter the amount of money, their education on money and how to keep it and make it grow, it's not there. So it's how do you do it? You don't know. You know what I mean? I think I tell people I am so glad I wasn't successful in the first 10 to 15 years of my life. I probably would have overdosed drugs and had some kind of disease, because I am so glad that it just wasn't given to me, you know what I mean? And it was just like, I didn't have shit forever. Now it's like, okay, like I value money, I value my credit, I value my responsibility, I value paying things on time, because I understand how hard it is. That I'm glad that I went through those challenges, no matter how frustrating it was. And you're just like, because I would be like, fuck. And I even tell Kim, like, stop watching social media, because sometimes she gets, you know, it gets to her head and she's like, what the fuck? Like, this girl's my age. She'll say something like that. And I'm like, you don't know what's going in the back. You don't know if she fucking does coke after every time she goes on that podcast. You don't know. Like, do you want that? Or would you rather do you want a millionaire and be that? Or do you want to have 100,000 and be a good person and helping your brother, your sister, or whoever, whatever it might be? You know what I mean? So we can't judge ourselves where we're at, but when the moment's right, as long as you're moving in the right direction, it will come. So hit me up. I will recommend you some books. But I'm telling you right now, I would. The best gift you could give anybody who teaches you anything, just the way David said, I want to bring that belt back home. I want to bring that belt back home to show. That is the best gift. He doesn't get paid for it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like big check for any of them. There's like that pride, that commitment, that hard work. That was like, you know, David was saying like, fuck, I gotta train and I still got 3 back-to-back classes. Like, that's why I was watching something that said, like, do you know when people like these men, when they win this championship, I think it was Tim Grover, that why they cry and break down when they win is because everything of what they did, all the pain comes in that instant moment when they got that belt, when they got that champion, when they raise their hands. And it's not they're weak, it's just that they can let all that shit comes back so rapidly, and they're like, fuck, it was all worth it. You know what I mean?
That's like the final moment where they can be like,
exactly.
I did it.
You know, and it's like, champions understand when that person says, I want to bring that fucking belt home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And people who have never done shit, it would be like, okay, yeah, it's cool. You know what I mean? You just want to fight. You know what I mean? But those people who have done it, been through it in every aspect and been fighting in challenges is what it's about. So hit me up. I will recommend you some books and we'll go from there. You know?
It's funny that you said it too, because it's like, I think a lot of like what helped me like flip that switch too, like the same way, was watching David like go through the training and like come home. His feet are all cut up. His like heels are peeling. His wrist is tweaked. His neck hurts. His back hurts. He can't sleep. And he still wakes up the next morning and goes and does his job, and he rocks it. And I was just like, bro, like, I'm complaining over the smallest thing. Like, that is so pathetic. Like, that is so, like, that's value thing. Like, I was like, wow, like, not to be negative, I was like, I have no value because I've never, like, worked like this. I've never done this. Like, I've never sacrificed like this. So watching him like put all that value and courage and like love into himself, I was like, all right, I need to do the same thing. And then I watched it in all of you guys, and I was like, okay, like the people that I hang out with like this is what I want. Like, this is who I've always wanted to be. Like, that mindset to like be like a killer always and just get it every single time, relentless. Absolutely. So I think that's like a big thing too, like that value in that.
And Shey, I want to tap into that a little bit, because your boyfriend is a fighter, right?
Yes.
He's an active fighter. And a lot of people don't know what it's like to be in a relationship with a fighter.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of the things right now of what he deals with on a daily basis, right? He can't sleep because he's in pain. You know, as his girlfriend, what does it take from you to be that supportive girlfriend, right? Because you don't want to be a negative Nancy either.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're supportive, you're positive, you're making sure that he's on his game, right? Like, if he's starting to feel negative, you got to be that, no, babe, like, let's go, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for any other women that might be dating other fighters?
Yeah.
What would be some great advice you could share with them that could help them inspire their man to, you know, keep going and to keep pushing, to be a better fighter, to be a better man, to be a better partner?
Yeah.
Like, do you have anything that you could recommend for someone?
I think since I started dating David and like watching him fight and everything, like, it's funny because the first time I ever like saw him fight, I'd been working at MTK that one week. It was my first training week. And he had to fight that Saturday, and I remember I watched him, and he got the whiplash thing and everything, and I was like, oh, poor dude, that sucks. You know, like, I didn't know. And then as I got to know him, and then we got, like, closer and we started training, I realized, like, my job as his girlfriend is, one, to be his, like, number one support system, always. two, to be, again, like you said, that positive energy. So I have really had to watch myself, which is why I noticed I was so negative too, because there would be times where I would say something and he would be tired and he would be like, dude, like, what? And then I would have to take a step back and be like, wait, hold on a minute. Like, he's not cranky with me. He's just like irritated because he's in pain. You know, like, this isn't towards me. Like, this is just him. So I had to really like work on being positive and like being caring. I've always just like been the type of person though that like cares. Like, I did nursing and all that stuff, so it's really easy for me. But like healing him, so putting the Vaseline on his feet, you know, massaging his back, massaging his legs, you know, popping his wrist, whatever he needs. If I can help, I will try to do it, you know. But he's also like very strong and like kind of sucks it up. So also for me, my job is, I feel, to kind of like break him down. You know, like, talk to me, like, open up. What hurts? What's on your mind right now? Okay, this, and this. We're going to fix it, like this, and this. I'm going to rat him out right now, but, like, even coming to the podcast, like, he was like, dude, like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. And he told Jen no, and Jen was like, well, what the heck, Shey? Like, what's wrong with him? And I was like, dude, he's tired.
Okay.
This is my podcast.
He's like, snitches get stitches.
But yeah, like, for example, that, like, he didn't want to come, and I was like, dude, like, I get you don't want to go, and I get it sucks and you're tired, but one, it's gonna be like an hour or two max. You're gonna regret not going instead of going and then being like, all right, cool, now we won't do anything the rest of the day, like, we'll just nap. And I like told him, I was like, jump in the shower, get your clothes on, we'll wear twinning clothes and we'll be cute, and then if you want, we can go get something to eat afterwards. But like, you have to do this. Like, this is part of your job. So like, me pushing him to like do all this stuff and like kind of also dig deeper in himself, I think that's like part of my job too. Well, not job, but just
I like it. No, it's your duty, right? It's your duty as his supportive partner, right? To be there. And it's funny because that's why having the right person is so important too, right? Especially as a fighter, because there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of, right? And he came, you guys are having a good time, and it's just like, and it's funny because that feeling goes into everything that we do. It's going into the gym to take a class, right? It's coming to work. It's you know, maybe you had plans and then you still gotta do this one thing that you really don't want to do. You just want to do your fun stuff, right? But then when you come and do it, you realize it wasn't that bad. I had fun, right? It's funny, but we all have daily battles that we have to deal with mentally. So it's so important to have the right people in your corner. It's so important having the right people to look up to. You know, so
and you know, it's also important to have the right people that will tell you the truth. Does that make sense? Sometimes, and it hurts, you know what I mean? Sometimes we have those conversations and you need that. Like, I don't want yes people around me. You know, I don't want Kim to be like, hey, you know what, like, like, hey, no, you need this, or you need to go talk to, you need to go to this meeting, you need to go to this seminar, whatever it might be. And it's crazy because if you hear it from everybody and anybody who doesn't want to do something or go somewhere, that moment is when they meet that special person. Like, they get a connection, they something happens that it's like there was a reason why you're being pulled from it, but when you push through that, there's something there, and you meet something or something happens and you're like, fuck, if I wouldn't have been here, imagine where my life would be. And it changes completely your life. And it might be something small and it could be something huge. But it's kind of like Neil says, it's like those times that you don't, and I'm sure all athletes, that those moments, and even Kobe, like the moments you didn't want to go train and work out are the most important ones in your career. They're the most important ones in your career. You know what I mean? So, but I had a question. When you gonna fight? Do you want to fight, should I say, or anything like that in the future?
Maybe like when I start really like doubling up on classes.
No, but I mean, speaking like, do you have something in your heart that says, you know what, one day I do want to fight or anything like that, or no?
Kru, stop looking at me. I mean, yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think it's something where I would excel. Like, again, just embracing that, like, not masculinity, but just like the strength in me. When I dedicate myself to something that I truly love, or am like just passionate about, I do it. So I think in the future, like, it would be cool for me to fight and everything, but I still have a long way to go. Like, I still have a long way to go. I don't I don't step out when I.
But in your mental, because there's people that just don't want to fight, right?
Yeah.
But do you, in your mind, are you like, I want to fight one day? Do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would
so I have 2 follow-up questions. One is, have you ever had that conversation with your boyfriend about that? And then if you haven't, what do you think his reaction would be, or what has it been?
Yeah. So we actually have had this conversation.
Okay.
So it was I guess to give just a little tiny backstory. My last relationship, very abusive, very negative, like fists, everything negative. So coming into this and dating a fighter was like a complete 180 for me. I was like a little scared, but at the same time, David's just, I know he's a fighter, but he's like the softest little teddy bear. So when we had this conversation,
he's like, no, I'm not.
But you know what though, to touch base on that, which a lot of, everyone's laughing, but people don't understand, that's normal fighters. Like, we look so tough, like we're gonna be super brutal, and then when you get to know us on a personal level, you're like, dude, they're teddy bears. They're super kind.
Yeah.
I can tell you the same. I had an ex-relationship. Actually, you know what? All the past relationships, you're dating a fighter, a professional fighter. They were freaking out. And the moment they met me, they're like, he's so respectful.
Yeah.
Wow. It was like
it's the discipline.
They were thinking of this like brute who's gonna be really rude and like treat their girl bad, and it was the complete opposite. It's the weird stereotype that fighters get, like, oh, they gotta be super tough, so they're gonna be brutes. No, we're not. We really aren't.
Even when he's angry, he is the kindest angry person I've met in my life. Like, I have never been cared
He's like,
for.
here are your tacos, babe, no me importa.
He is, actually. He will give me, like, the last everything he has. And it's, like, a complete 180 for me. So when we had that conversation again with, like, the fighting and everything, it's funny because we actually just had this conversation this past week. But I was like, do you think I could fight? Like, can you see me in that ring? Like, what do you think? And he's like, honestly, he's like, you need to get your shit rocked. He's like, I think you need to take like one solid punch that really rocks you. And if you can stay on your feet and you come back, like once you fall, like let's say you fall and you get back up, then you can fight. He's like, but if you're going to take that hit and you're going to fall and be like, oh, babe, he's like, don't do it. So he's told me like he can see me in the ring, that he can see me like dedicating myself and putting myself in there. And like I said, like I grew up watching UFC and MMA with my dad, which I think is so funny because I watched it and I was like, oh, I could do that. And then I just pivoted away from it, like 360 just wasn't in my radar. And then I end up here. And now I'm like, hold on, like this was actually something that like years ago, like I was passionate. It was one of those pots I just snuffed out. So I'm like, all right, like this is cool. But yeah, we have had that conversation and he's fully supportive. Like whatever I want to do or how I feel or anything, like he's always going to be there.
And how do you think that first solid punch is going to come about?
Yeah, we have to find out. I've gotten a
You're
few
like,
in
go,
sparring.
babe, he's like, hurry. He's like, that's cool.
No,
that's
but
cool.
yeah, I mean, I've taken a few solid hits in sparring, you know, that's working on the defense still, but you know, I can take a hit, I think, maybe.
That's good. So Shey, thank you so much. I mean, we appreciate it, and you know, giving us, you know, your backstory of how you came down to California, how you did a complete change in career and everything, how you went from, you know, working with the team, you know, being a part of the you know, the culture and everything, now having a boyfriend as a fighter and just being part of just the Muay Thai community and everything that you've gone through and the challenges, but so much of how it's changed in your mindset and the positivity and everything, and just how the, you know, Muay Thai has impacted you and the influence you want to be to others. So we really want to thank you for coming by. It means a lot to us.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
But
do it again.
It was amazing. It was really good.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So thank you again for. I'm trying not to.
Why are you being weird? Why are you being, just close
you
us
guys
out?
You guys told me I was a robot. So like, hey, what's up, guys? So like, thank you for coming to another podcast. No, wait.
Are you under the influence?
No.
Like, what is?
Hey guys, thank you once again for coming. Oh fuck, dude, I can't do it now because I was natural before.
You want some cheese with that wine?
No.
Let's go.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another podcast of Muay Thai Saving. We ask once again to please like, share, and subscribe, and we appreciate the support.
Do it.